Oh my God. Oh, I'm early. I just realized I messed up the time on my live here. Well, I know there should be a place where I can change the time, but it's not coming up. Now here looks a mess. I was outside putting a thermometer on the porch because I want to see how hot it is out there on the porch under the shade on this side of the house. I got Shatika, Eddie Elliott, Candy Kane, Connie Parker, Jerry Starcher, Frida Cassidy, Paula Bordeaux, Loretta. What time did it show my live was supposed to start? Can somebody tell me? The Aimlessly Wandering Soul, Annie. Yep, that's what it is here too, Connie. That's the reason I put the thermometer out there on the porch. I just got it up. It just came from Amazon. It's just a little one, but I've got it angled to where I can look out the window of the door and see it right on the corner of the porch. And I was started eating some peanuts. And then all of a sudden I looked at the clock and I looked at it wrong and I said, oh my God, it's 6 o'clock. 5 after. And I looked at the clock wrong. There was a glare on it. And it was actually 5 after 5. And I said, well, I'm pretty sure I set it for 6 o'clock. I don't know why it took me over an hour to put that thermometer up, but I said, holy cow, I know it didn't take me that long to put it up, but we're live. I'm an hour early. Did I say 7? I mean, I can't find it where it says it because I was going to change it. I know there's a place you can change it, but I can't find it. I've looked everywhere for it. Yeah, it's just starting, Jerry. I accidentally went live an hour early. But I can't get it to come up where you can change the time on it. Huh. I got my mouth full of peanuts. And you accidentally woke up an hour early. Well, you caught me on the front end of it this time. And I can't find it anywhere where it says. No matter where I go, it just says 23 watching, but it doesn't even show what time it went live, was supposed to go live. Yeah, I'm Central Time. You must be Eastern Time if it's 6:15, because it's 5:15 or 5:20 now here. I said, well, it's a different time anywhere you're at, so maybe I'd still get people coming in here. And I've got 20 people watching right now with 10 thumbs up, so I don't guess I'm doing too bad. Chills in the house. Accidentally woke up an hour early. I've been drinking tea all day. It's so hot. And it's going to be 106, 107 for the next, right on up to Thursday. Right now, and it's probably going to change. Right now, on our forecast, it shows 30 to 40% rain on Thursday, morning. And it will drop the temperatures to 99, y'all. From 106, 107 down to 99. But if it will rain, oh my God, my garden will love it. I will love it. Loretta said it just popped up for her. Yeah, oh, a cool 99 on Thursday. And then it'll be 99 for like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then it'll probably go right back up to triple digits. There's Martha Berry from North Georgia. Yeah, it's a little after 5. We're Central Time. I don't even remember what time I set it for, but I looked at the clock wrong and I thought I had set it for 6 p.m. and it looked like it was 5 after 6, so I hurried up and went live. And then I took another look at the clock and it was only 5 after 5, so I was early. And some people say I set it for 7 o'clock. I don't know. We're live regardless. It don't matter. Jerry said it's 87 right now in her part of Georgia. 87 would seem so good compared to 106 right now. No, 107 is what that thermometer on my laptop's showing. I can't wait to see what the one outside. Let me go look, because it's probably been out there long enough that it's showing how hot it is. That little thermometer showing that it's 110 out there in the shade on my little porch, right here outside where the freezer is here. Where Lucky's little cat house is on the porch. It's 110 degrees out there. So I don't know where they're getting 107. It's 110 outside here at my house in the shade. And they put the thermometer down on the table back here in the sun. By the time I realized it was there, y'all, I thought it was broke. Because when I opened the package, it showed that it was 0F all the way down to the bottom, way past 120. It was up to like 130 if there had been more numbers there, or 140 degrees in the hot sun out there. And then I realized after I was in the house with it for a little bit, it started going back down. And I said, well, that's how hot it was on that table. That's why little buddy does a back take whenever he goes out that back door if the sun is shining on that table, because it's too hot. That's why my plants are just burning up. I think I'm going to have to do something different with my raised beds next year. Because, you know, a lot of the plants are surviving real good in the buckets and the totes and pots that I've got, like water reservoirs in the bottom. But there's nothing in the bottom of those raised beds to retain water. And it just goes out and it dries out really quick. So I'm going to make some big changes to my raised beds next year. Y'all wait and see. I'm not going to have that problem next year. And there's Joshua Sickles. Hello, Joshua. I'm going to eat leftover kebabs. I've got still, well, I put 2 in my plate, and I ate every bit of that. I was hungry, but it's all vegetables. You know, I had chicken in there too, but it was mostly vegetables. And I had 3 or 4 of them still, so I put them in a container. And I'm going to pop them in the microwave for a couple of minutes, and that's what my dinner's going to be. Those leftover kebabs from yesterday. It's 87 where Janet is in Myrtle Beach. Oh, wow. That would seem so good. Oh, it's 107 here right now, y'all. Like I said, it's 110 on my little porch out here. And we don't have any, it's going to be up 106 and 107 for almost the next week. Thursday, we've got a chance of rain, like 30-40% in the morning. And then in the morning, we've got chance of 30-40% chance of rain Thursday. But that afternoon, it drops to like 20%. So if we don't get rain Thursday morning, we're not getting any. And they're liable to change that between now and Thursday. Yeah, that's part of it. And I was eating peanuts, so I got peanut fragments in my mouth, and I almost got choked on them. I fixed chicken kebabs with zucchini, sliced squash, bell peppers, onions, and I marinated it all in olive oil and garlic salt, garlic, onion powder, paprika. It was very simple, not anything extravagant, but they're so good. And I left them on the grill just long enough that they got a little charred in some areas around the edges, which gives it a really good taste. Trump came to the beach yesterday. Did you go hear him, Jana? Why was he at the beach? I didn't know he was going to be in South Carolina yesterday. Yeah, I don't care what they say the temperature is. You put a thermometer outside, it's going to be a lot hotter on that thermometer you put outside than it is what they predicting. You didn't go hear him? Do you know why he was there? And there's Donna Placedia. I've been playing with different times going live to see when, I can catch people. And I wasn't sure about today since it was Saturday. But I said there's got to be a lot of people that are not out and about on this hot day. They're home. You're still getting used to your water flosser, Joshua. It was to support the Republican candidate. Well, that was good of him. How's the weather in your neck of the woods, Donna? I'm just telling everybody it's 107 here today. It's 110 on my front porch. I just put me a thermometer out there. And it had went as far as that needle could go up because the delivery guy put it on that back table, that orange table, and it was in the sun. And I don't know how long it was there before I realized they delivered it already. And I went out there and grabbed it, and it was really hot, the package. I opened it, and that needle was as far down as it could go, way past 120, where the number stopped. And it was hitting right where it had F for Fahrenheit and a 0, and it was past the 0. I said that was probably about 134 or 130 or 140 degrees where it was. It's 94 but breezy. It was kind of not too bad early this morning when I was putting a video together outside. It was hot, but the breeze was blowing. So that made it a little bit better. But I'll tell you, by the time I got that video done, I was ready to come in the house. I was sweating already. It was getting too hot. $75 here in Comfy. Oh, 75 degrees. That would feel like heaven here. It would feel cold almost. Oh, I see, Janny. You don't like being in a crowd because of your anxiety. It was open to the public. There was probably so many people there you couldn't have got close enough to even see him anyway. Yeah, I didn't want to cook, and I was glad I've still got a little bit of Spanish rice left. I've got those kebabs. I got like 3 of the kebab sticks left that I've took off and put in a container and put them in the refrigerator. So I'm just going to pop that in the microwave, and that's my dinner tonight. That and iced tea. I've been making a pitcher of iced tea a day because I've been drinking iced tea all day long. Oh, you saw a post on Facebook that showed his plane coming in at the airport. I didn't even know Myrtle Beach had an airport. Do they have an airport there? I didn't know that. Is Myrtle Beach that big that they've got an airport? I mean, we got an airport here, but it's for the small, privately owned planes. You know, the little planes that people just fly around. It's not big passenger planes or anything, not commercial airlines. I said it'd be so nice if you could get on a plane here in Granbury and fly to DFW Airport to get on your commuter flight there to go to North Carolina. I wouldn't mind flying as bad. But I got to drive 2 hours from my house to get to DFW Airport just to fly somewhere. And that's too much of a drive. I said I'd just about rather drive from here to North Carolina than I want to drive to DFW Airport. Because it's like a mix master up there. I hate driving up there. I don't know. You didn't watch my video this morning, did you, Chill? Because that you would have known what kind of kebabs I cooked. That was the video. Didn't I post it this morning? I've slept since I did the video. I don't know what I posted this morning. The Air Force Base used to be... Oh, okay. So they use that airstrip. Well, I've just been having contest nights where I just ask a few questions about the videos that I've posted. Instead of, it's like trivia, but it's questions on the videos that I post rather than trivia questions out of the box. Yeah, I didn't want to heat up the kitchen. I said, my God, it was hot outside, but at least the heat was going out in the yard. It was not going through the house. So when I got through cooking and come in the house, it was cool in here. Yep, they were good, and I'm going to eat some of them tonight for my dinner tonight. I don't know what I'll fix tomorrow. It's going to be something easy. Something easy peasy so I don't have to spend 2 or 3 hours in the kitchen cooking and heating the oven up. Or just heating the kitchen up. Lucky's in there laying on my bed. He gave up. He was on the couch. He got off the couch and come here and got in the chair. And he meowed at me like he was fussing at me. And then he got off the chair and went down the hall and jumped on my bed. He's laying on my bed curled up right now. I guess he was fussing at me saying it was bedtime. It's too early to go to bed. Although I did take a nap this afternoon. Well, not really a nap. I didn't go to sleep. I just laid down and rested my back. I didn't know high pressure water to clean your teeth. Yeah, they got a lot of technology now, Joshua. You'd be surprised what they got out there. Yeah, I'll tell you what, they're getting so advanced in technology nowadays. It scares me. It literally scares me what some of the stuff they come up with. Didn't mean to have my picture sitting there. I mean, my thermos sitting right there in the screen. So what's everybody's plans for this weekend? Y'all got any plans for tomorrow? I've been inside most of the day. I got that video done by request. People were all asking me what I was doing in the garden. Well, right now there's not a whole lot. And there's Tamara Douglas. Hola to you. Hola. It's too hot. The poor plants are struggling to even survive. Even though I've got shade cloth on and everything, like I said, it's 110 degrees in the shade under the porch right now. So even though I've got shade up over most of my garden, and it does cool it down a little bit, it's still hot, and it's still burning my plants up. And I've got I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's since I hurt my neck, out there moving that fence line or what it was, which I shouldn't have done it. I mean, it needed to be moved, and I couldn't afford to pay nobody to come in here and do it, so I did it. And I've been paying for it ever since. But ever since then, it's got so I can't handle the heat out there like I could before. I mean, there's days that I feel motivated and I get out there and I try to get stuff done. And then I get so hot, I come in the house and I got to cool off. And then I go back out there later and get a little bit more done, come in the house, and I spend all day like that, off and on. I go outside till I get so hot, I got to come in and cool off, stay in here and cool off a while, and then I'll go back out and do a little bit more. I don't know if Jana has a water pick. I'm going to church with my son in the AM, and then my date is an open book. Yeah, I might go live tomorrow, too. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But I'm trying to get my views up to get my money up a little bit. Yeah, 107, that's hot. That sun is burning hot. You do not want to be in the sunshine when it's 107 degrees. Like I said, it's 110 on my porch out there right now, in the shade. Frida said she stay home and cooking. Well, I'm going to cook. I'm sure I'm going to fix something to eat tomorrow, but it's going to be as small amount as possible. And I'm going to use the stove the least amount. If I can cook it in the microwave, it's going in the microwave. I wanted to bake some cookies, but I tell you, I don't want to turn the oven on. I would love to fix some garlic toast the old-fashioned way in your broiler, in the bottom of the oven, but I didn't want to turn the oven on. Chill said, I'm going to the shooting range. Been 30 years since I've done this. Going to be epic no matter what the temperature. Oh, yeah. Oh, my son has a target practicing thing set up in his back right behind his house, and it goes downhill. So, the bullets will eventually go in the ground. But he's got bales of hay and all kind of stuff behind it. And I went over there one time and he wanted me to go back out there and target practice with him. Because I told him, if I'm going to hit what I aim at. Well, he didn't believe me because he's never seen me shoot anything. Well, he did, but he was so little he didn't remember it. So he got his pistol, he loaded it, and we went out there and he handed it to me. And I took it and did, I remembered everything my dad told me when I was about 12 years old when he taught me to shoot a gun. I did everything. I took my breath and then held it and aimed at the target. Hit it dead on the first time, hit it dead on the second. And my son just totally amazed looking at me, watching me. Like, I don't believe that. He said, Mom, he said, nobody hits the target the first shot. And he said, you hit it the first 2 shots. He said, I don't believe it. I said, well, I told you I hit what I aim at. And then the 3rd shot I missed, but I remembered what my dad said. I'm so short. He said, you don't want to aim up because you can't get the sight on the target very well. And I was just checking out what he told me because I assumed that was true. And I raised it because I was going to shoot the target between the eyes, and it never even hit the target. It went over his head. And I said, that's exactly what my dad told me would happen. And my son, of course, he moved around, went down the hill a little bit and shot again, and so he could hit it. But I didn't move. I stood in the same spot. So I know he was absolutely correct. As short as I am, you want it go level or down. You don't want to aim up because chances are you're not going to hit a darn thing aiming up. Oh, it's raining in Buffalo, New York. Oh my goodness. Send me some of that rain, Diana. I bet Linda has super eyes back then, LOL. Well, my dad first taught me to shoot with a .22 automatic rifle, and that was like grabbing a machine gun. Because I don't know if any of y'all have ever shot a .22 automatic rifle, but you pull that trigger, you don't turn it loose immediately, it's going to go da-da-da-da-da-da. It'll empty the magazine just like a machine gun. And that's what happened because I didn't know it was going to do that. And I didn't know I was supposed to just release that trigger the minute I pulled it. And I just held it for a second, and it went da-da-da-da-da-da. And my dad said, no, turn it loose. And then he laughed at me because I didn't know it was going to do that. The next time I shot it, I just barely touched that trigger and immediately released it. I didn't hold my finger on it. 22 semi-auto, loved it. The logs had no chance. Well, we were shooting at cans sitting on a log in the backyard because my dad, their house in Atkinson has a 2-acre lot. The house in the yard is the front acre, and then the back acre was just open field. Well, now there's a pond on the back acre and a cabin built beside the pond because my dad built it, him and my younger brother, because my younger brother was going to move in it and live back there, but he never moved in it. And as far as I know, the cabin is still there. I don't know if any the new owners used it or if they fixed it up or what's going on with it. I would have loved to have had that house my dad built. But my mom sold it. At the time she sold it, she was asking so much for it. There's no way I could have bought it. But then she sold it for like half of what she told me. And I said if I'd have known she was going to sell it as cheap as she did, I might have been able to buy it. But I didn't know till after the fact. And I was here in Texas, so, you know, you don't know a whole lot that goes on back home. Rain here would just feel so good. We're not expected to even have a chance of rain until Thursday of this week. And they're predicting right now, if it doesn't change, that we got 30-40% chance of rain Thursday morning. And then it drops to about 20% Thursday afternoon. So, but every time I look at the forecast, they change it. You know, one day it says chance of rain a certain day. You look at it the next day and they've already done away with that rain chance. First thing you ever shot was a shotgun. It knocked me down and put a huge bruise on my shoulder. Yeah, I've never shot a shotgun because I was always so small and tiny built that it would knock me down. I told him, I told my brothers and my dad, I said even my son, I've told him, I said the only way I'd even consider shooting a shotgun is if I could put that stock up against a tree, not my shoulder. I'd turn and put that stock up against a tree and then I'd shoot it because that tree would get the kick, not my shoulder. And now with my neck injury and everything, there's no way I could shoot a shotgun. It would throw my neck out. I'd probably never walk again. It's hot. I just stay inside. That's why my AC is just running, 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 running. It came on at 11 o'clock this morning. It has not been off since. It's just constantly been running. Janice said my grandmother used to shoot squirrels at my great aunt's house when I was young. They were under the eaves of the house and they would chew the wires. She was single, shot, and done. Felt so bad. Did she eat the squirrels? You know, squirrel and rice is good. My daddy used to shoot squirrels and my brothers too, and they'd bring them home. And Mama would, my dad, of course, would skin them, dress them out, and then he'd give them to Mama. And she'd put them in a pot and then cook them like you would a chicken. Just throw it in a pot of water and then throw in rice and cook it in rice. And it's good. I mean, the poor squirrels don't have much meat on their bones, but it's good meat. I haven't eaten squirrel since I was a young girl, though. She would bring her kill home like a cat. First thing I shot was a tree with a shotgun. The tree is still living, surprisingly. Squirrels. Yeah, squirrels are good, but they're just not, there's not much to them. They're, you know, a squirrel is trim. There's no fat on them bones. They live off of acorns and whatever bird seed they can find in my yard. And I don't shoot my squirrels. I leave them. I like to watch them. If I had to live off of squirrels, I'd starve because I'm not shooting my squirrels. I'm not shooting my birds either. And my brothers, they'd shoot every bird they'd see come in the yard and insist Mom threw them in a pot. Cook them with rice, just like the squirrel. Then they'd go frog gigging and bring home them frog legs and fry them up. Not then, but my mother says my granddaddy made her stand out and help him skin them when she was young. A shotgun is pretty loud. Now, a pistol or a .22 is not loud really at all. Yeah, more on a squirrel with a .22 rather than a shotgun. You shot a squirrel with a shotgun, he'd be full of buckshot. More meat. No, the squirrels we ever got were pretty skinny. There was not much meat on them bones, I'll tell you. I kind of felt sorry for the squirrels. They were so poor, they didn't have much meat on them, those bones at all. But it was good. It had a real good taste. Yep, shotguns are really loud. Now, some of the high-powered rifles are pretty loud, too, but they don't kick like a shotgun. My daughter-in-law went to some function with her company that she's working with, and she showed me bruises all over her shoulder up here. They had shooting, like they had a shooting range or something there, and they were all shooting the shotguns, and they were, I guess, competing against one another, and she shot it so many times her shoulder was all black and blue. Yep, there's different shotgun shells. There certainly is. Some of it's bird shot, some of it's a bigger shot. I was thinking about designing another apron. You know, I did 2 videos on making aprons out of blue jeans. Or I made them out of coveralls. My coverall shorts is what I made them out of. And I've got another pair of blue jeans and stuff that I've been thinking about making another apron a little bit different than the first two. I bet Linda has heard of recoil. Yep. Some gun shells go in and spat out damage on the inside. Yeah, that's true. They shatter when they hit something, and it's like the shot explodes. Causes a lot of damage to your insides, that's for sure. And there's Kim Wilder. Hello, Kim. How you doing this evening? I hope you're staying cool. Shotgun and horseshoes just need to be close. Who's lucky? My grandmother always wore an apron. I wear them sometimes if I think to put them on. I've got 4 or 5 aprons. Most of them I made. And I start a video and I get to cooking and I forget to put an apron on. Especially if I'm frying something, because I'm the world's worst of splattering grease on my clothes, and then you know you've ruined your clothes. Unless you got some really good spot remover or grease remover, it's not coming out. Oh, you're getting more rain. We need rain. We have not had any rain whatsoever. And it's 107. It just dropped to 106. And it was 110 on my porch a little while ago. And y'all will not be nice to know, I got a thermometer that not only tells Fahrenheit, but it tells Celsius. So I can look at my thermometer and maybe hopefully learn Celsius. Because if I look at it and it's 70 degrees, I can look at the number below it and it tells me what it is in Celsius. If I think to look at both the numbers. Yeah, fireworks and gunshot shells are different. Joanne said, my apron is more like a sleeveless top. I think it's called a cobbler. No, you didn't, Jana. What was the story about you almost shooting a man's head off? Oh my gosh. When was that? Whose head did you almost shoot off? And there's Uncle B.B. Munson. Hello. Munson, that is. I've been so worried about you, shish kebab. 107 degrees. Lady, get back in that house. Yeah, it was hot out there grilling, but thank God it doesn't take too long to grill kebabs. And when I closed the grill, I came back in the house just a few minutes and then went back out. But it was worth it not to heat up the house, the kitchen, cooking. Kentucky Life with Debbie. Linda, here in Kentucky, it's 81 at 6 p.m. Well, it's 106 here in Texas at 5 minutes to 6. Good thing this is on YouTube. Facebook would have a fit. What do you mean? What about talking about guns and shooting? 96 in Florida. Well, when you learn how to shoot one, you need to learn the correct way and the correct usage of guns, and then you don't get in trouble. And there's Lynn. Hello, Lynn. How are you doing? I hope you're staying cool. It's still 106 here. Yeah, I know how long a 20-inch fireworks shell is. It's 20 inches long. And there's Bernadine. Hello, Bernadine. How's Bernadine doing? I'm surprised YouTube is not yeted this stream. I'm sorry. Well, I have forgot about that, but we're not talking anything mean or destructive or bad. We're talking learning how to shoot them. I'm sure Japan does. They got probably the biggest of any of it. And I'm sure we've got bigger ones than 20 inches long too. Fireworks. Lynn said it's hot in Florida, but not as bad as it is for you in Texas. Well, we're going to get a break Thursday. It's supposed to drop to 99 degrees. All of a good 99 degrees. And we got 30 to 40% chance of rain Thursday morning. And only 20% Thursday afternoon. And then it's going to be 99 degrees for a couple of days. And then it'll be right back up to triple digits again. So we're not out of this heat yet. Love the freedom. Love the heat. Yeah, that's what I say, Jana. There's nothing we're talking about that's bad. Yeah, I know that, Kimberly. That's the reason I stay away from a lot of topics. Bernadine said a thunderstorm popped up this afternoon and it's raining light right now. Send me some of that rain. I dearly need it. We need it badly in Texas. My garden needs it desperately. But yeah, I'm going to make some changes with my raised beds next year. Now, the one at the arbor is pretty much going to stay the way it is. But the other ones, I've got plans for. Oh, your grandmother was protecting her grandchildren, husband, and herself from an intruder. Well, good for her. Because you never know when stuff like that's going to happen. I mean, I don't keep a gun here, so I'd be dialing 911, I guess. I got an intruder at the door. He's fixing to break in. Yeah, I saw some amazing fireworks, Joshua. And I found some videos on TikTok. And it's where they fly all these drones. I mean, thousands and thousands of drones. And they fly up in the air and they form a pattern. And it looks like a soldier up in the air. Up in the sky. They form a soldier. And it looks just like a soldier standing there. And it's all the drones lit up with lights. Yeah, that's what we usually get. If we have any chance of rain at all, Linda, it'll rain good for like 5 seconds and then it stops. Not even enough to get your hand wet. And we need a good downpour. I mean, it's so dry. My house is even settling. My front door was sticking today. I had to like manhandle it to get my door open. My front door's never been like that. Certain words, yeah, that's right, Kimberly. We try to stay within a good range of that. People need to question why a horrible video Perez Hilton did on TikTok and it was left up 10 minutes before being taken down. I didn't see that video of Perez Hilton. What was it about? What made it bad? Or should I even ask? Was it X-rated? It literally just turned sweater weather about a half hour ago here in Michigan. You live in Cereal City. Wow, Christina. That would seem good to be cold here to where I'd have to put a sweater on. Manhandle. Chill. Now I'm against some videos because some of these videos get awfully raunchy and vulgar, and I don't think that should be viewed. No one needs to see it all. It was bad. Oh no. Well, I definitely didn't see it. She was probably doing it for publicity. And you know, it seems like more and more today, especially the female singers, their outfits are getting skimpier and skimpier. It's like they're trying to put on a sex show instead of singing. I mean, if you got a good voice and you're a great singer, you don't have to show everything you got to get up there on stage to make money. Which I know sex sells, I mean, unfortunately, but... Well, thank you, Christina. I mean, there was some outfits that J-Lo had on. I watched some of her concerts or parts of it. But she really wasn't dressed as skimpy as it looked. She had like a natural colored bodysuit on that was skin tight, like stockings type stuff, and you don't even see through it under that skimpy little outfit, and it looked like she was showing everything. But people don't realize she had that flesh color tight thing on under that. So she was completely covered. It just looked bad. He tried to kill himself. Who tried to kill himself? No, Mama Cass never did that. They'd probably be telling her to put her clothes back on. Uncle BB, I missed something that you were talking about. Oh, I know, Kimberly. They use such bad language, and the cartoons are not any better. I mean, back when they first started banning a lot of movies off of TV because of their sexual and their violence and the language and all that, they came out with Roadrunner cartoons and other cartoons that showed more violence and bad stuff going on than the actual real movies did. And I said, well, how do they get away with Roadrunner jumping off a building, you know? I mean, that's like telling a little 2-year-old, go step off the building, you'll be fine when you hit the ground. He tried to kill himself. And then you have Perez Hilton. I don't understand. Things have changed much over the years. When I was in high school, we had to wear dresses or skirts, slacks or shorts weren't. That's me, Linda. It was like the last year I was in school that they finally agreed to let girls wear slacks to school. They couldn't be blue jeans or anything like that. They had to be like dress slacks, nice pants. And then it didn't do me any good because that was the last year I was in school. Up till then, you had to wear dresses or skirts, and they had to be below the knee. Hammy products are fun, Roadrunner. Not safe to allow kids to watch. I know. I mean, because those little kids, they don't realize a cartoon is animated. It's not real. It's make-believe. And they see Roadrunner stepping off a building and he's landing on the ground running. He's fine. They would think they could do the same thing. And Laura said her two adult kids are driving her crazy this summer. How old are they, Laura? And I love Roadrunner cartoons, don't get me wrong, but they're not for little bitty kids to watch. Not for the ones that are so small they don't realize it's make believe, you know. Roadrunner was one of my favorite cartoon characters. Exactly, Joshua. No one could ever jump off a building or step off a building and land on the ground and walk away. Oh, I know. The last year that I substitute taught at the high school, I had lunch duty. And I always knew or thought they had a guideline for how short your skirts could be. Well, and in the lunchroom, part of it has like high tables, kind of like you're standing at a bar almost, but they're not very long. They're not short tables that you sit out with a regular chair. And this high school student was leaning up against one of those high bar type things, and her skirt basically did not cover her bottom. I said, how in the world did the teachers let her stay in school? I mean, even in the middle school, if you had too many holes in your jeans, they'd call you to the office and make you have your parents bring you some more pants to change into because those were not appropriate. How was that short skirt that was above her panty line, if she had on panties, which she didn't, it was like a thong, and you could see the cheeks of her butt, how could they allow her to stay in high school that day? Why was she not sent home to change clothes? I don't know. Standards are changing, y'all. I could not imagine what would happen if a girl would have walked into my high school back years ago in the 60s with a skirt like that. They'd have called it a wide belt because it was no skirt. It didn't cover much at all. Yeah, you had to wear skirts that had to be like 2 inches below your knees. Your dresses had to be below your knees. Yeah, I got frustrated with it too, Jana, because my mom tried to teach me. And I did pick up a couple of little tricks from her. But most of it I invented on my own. I took the single and double, triple crochet and went crazy with it. I did the chain stitch and went crazy with it. And I'd come up with my own patterns. And so I ended up making several queen and king size bedspread crocheted with granny squares. I made lots of my hats, for winter, the knitted hats, with no pattern. It was just a pattern that was in my brain. But it's been a long time since I've done any of it. I've got several of the bedspreads that I started. I got the squares made, but I've never put them all together, with the back color. Because I get my squares made. They're like 14 by 14 inches. And then I take a solid color and crochet around them and then hook the squares together with the solid color. So the whole background to the square throughout the whole spread is one solid color. I did my granddaughter's in yellow. The one on my bed is done in burgundy. And I think the one I did for my son was in burgundy, the background. I know, Laura, it's bad in school nowadays. But you got to understand, it's hard for teachers too, because the kids that come into the classroom basically have no respect for the teacher. And I know I probably told this story several times before, but I started learning Spanish. I'd get home at night when I'd get everything done. I didn't have anything to do. And there was this program on the computer, on the internet, that you could bring up. It would teach you one word a day and the sentence in Spanish to go with that one word. And I'd sit there till I learned the word, knew what it meant, and then I learned the actual sentence that went with it. And I had these Mexican boys that would come in my classroom in high school. And they'd always speak in Spanish to one another. And they'd sit down. They never would take out books or get any work done. Well, I looked at them one day because I would sit in a cluster, They'd always sit together so they could talk back and forth in Spanish, of course. So they didn't think you knew what they were saying. And I just looked at them because they were sitting there. They didn't have pencil on their table. They didn't have paper out. They didn't have their book, nothing. Their desk was clean. Everything was underneath. And I just looked at them and I said, "TNS on the piece." They looked at me like that, like, "Oh my God, she knows Spanish." He reached in and he got his paper and his pencils and stuff out, and the rest of them did too. And then they looked at one another. And I'll tell you what, after that, they got their paper and pencils and their books out when they come to my class, and they were careful about what they said to one another in Spanish because they didn't know what I understood and what I didn't understand. Yeah, just like the parents. A lot of the kids have grown up nowadays that don't even respect their parents. Yeah, schools teach parents how to be taxpayers. It's lightning and thundering. Oh my goodness. Well, I wouldn't even mind the lightning and thunder right now if it would just rain. If someone can tell me what a beginner... Start with chain stitches, because usually patterns do start with a chain stitch. And then you can add your single crochets or double crochets or triple crochets to the chain stitch to make different patterns. My problem is I didn't know how to read the pattern book because each little different loopity-loo, as I called them, had a different name for that stitch. Like the chain stitch. That was just a simple chain you would make looping the thread, which is real easy to do. The single or double or triple crochets are fairly easy. Well, I knew the double crochet, the chain stitch, I knew those. But anything else, I was lost as far as reading a pattern for a crochet pattern. Like life is a pattern, get into crochet. And I can't tell you, Jana, how many times I've tried to make things and I'd get to crocheting and I'd have to stop and pull it out and start over. I do a lot of that. Yeah, I've made all of my bedspreads, my crocheted bedspreads. They're made out of yarn. I did not use that little bitty fine thread. I used regular yarn that you would crochet shawls and stuff with, because I didn't want the little tiny thing. I wanted it to look more like a bedspread, soft bedspread, and the crochet yarn looked more like that, and I liked it better. So that's what I made mine up with. Yeah, you need a bigger hook size. I always like the bigger hook. That way my yarn doesn't slip off of it. It is easy. Well, I started learning how to sew when I was like 11 and 12 years old. And I probably have told this before. It's so funny because the first skirt I ever tried to make, I didn't have a pattern for, but I had the material, and I was cutting it up, and I was holding it up to me to measure it. And when I sewed it together, I couldn't even get in it. It was too tight. It'd be like, how much? how big to start. I don't know what size mine are. Let me go look. I found this one. This is the last one that I bought, that I haven't even taken it out of the package yet. But it's a big hook. It's a size 10. I don't know if I can get it out of here. I mean, that's a big one. That's a size 10. So I know my other ones that I used are like 7, 6s. But they're pretty good size. I think one of them is an 8, but this is a 10. And like I said, I've never used this one. I bought it thinking I was going to use it, and then I never did. Because my hand started bothering me with arthritis, and that's one reason I didn't finish my 2 bedspreads that I started. And this is the cotton thread that I've made like a pillowcase out of for a throw pillow that's on my daughter's bed in there. And I've got the little one that my mom always used. That little tiny one. And I don't know what number it is, but I could not use it because that's a 7. I can't believe that's a 7. See what this is. I can't even read it. But this is the one I finally had to get to use for this small thread. Because if I don't use this one, I was trying to show you how you could see the very end of it, that hook. When I put the thread on it like that. Let me tie a knot in the end of this. I can't even tie a knot in this thread, y'all. I gotta take this Band-Aid off my finger. I've been meaning to take it off, and I stuck the end of one of them skewers in my finger, but it's not bleeding now, so. But I start out by making a loop. And you know, when you start a granny square, all you do is flip it over and pull it through. And that's where I don't like these little threads. Because I don't hold my thread tight enough. And when I try to do anything with it, it comes off the end of the needle, which drives me crazy. If I'd learned how to hold it tighter. Here, I just did a double crochet. I just did a double crochet stitch on that. And you can't even see it. But that's how I start off all my granny squares. I make a small loop, you know, just a circle like that in my thread. And then I start crocheting from the hole. I'll start doing my double crochets and stuff around it until I end up with a circle. And then I start going off from that to end up making my granny squares. And I'm left-handed when I do this, and my mom was right-handed, so that posed a problem there too. Because everything she did was backwards from the way I do it. Yeah, but I still got that because it drives me crazy to try to crochet with this little stuff. My mom held that thread so tight using this kind, she ended up crocheting her whole bedspread out of this for her bed. It was beautiful. There's no way I could do a whole one. A whole bedspread out of this little stuff? No. There's no way. I'd burn it. I get so aggravated. Lynn, thank you for that super chat. Bless you. The biggest you have is an 8. Well, it depends on what brand it is. This is a 10 millimeter, which is probably way too big. My other ones are in my storage bins with my yarn and my squares. So I'd have to go dig them out, and that would take me forever to unload all the stuff on top. But this is the biggest one I've ever bought, and I've never used it. The one I always used is about half this size. It's probably a 5 or 6 or 7. But it's big enough here with the hook that when I hold my yarn and do my stitches and pulling it through and all that and go back through to grab it again, I don't lose my thread with the bigger one. And if you lose your thread when you're trying to crochet and when you're trying to do the different stitches, that's because you're not holding your thread tight enough, and maybe your hook is too small. Oh my goodness, Candy Cane, you got guns in every room and you never leave home without one. Well, my sister-in-law, who passed away about a year or so ago, she used to carry a pistol everywhere she went. It was in her handbag. My daughter-in-law started doing that too. I don't know if she still does. But they had concealed carry, so it was perfectly legal for them to do it. Well, the 8 is probably big enough. I mean, yeah, an 8, this is a 10, so an 8 is pretty big. I don't think you would need anything bigger than that. I've made a few quilts. I've got a quilt on my bed that I made. I mean, it's not beautiful. It's one of the yarn tied ones. And I made one, too, that is hand quilted. You know, I sewed all the squares and everything together and put the quilt top together. And then when I put the backing and the filling in it and put it together, I hand quilted with needle and thread. And that takes you a long time to quilt a big, you know, to sew a quilt. To hand quilt it by hand, it takes forever to get that done. My mom has made beautiful quilts. She gave me a butterfly quilt that she made, because she asked me one time when she was out here. She said, "Linda, if I make you a quilt, what kind of pattern do you want?" I said, "Well, I love butterflies. I don't know how hard that would be to do." And she made me a butterfly quilt. Each square has a butterfly on it. And they're handmade butterflies. They're not just pictures of butterflies. And I know that took her forever. Yeah, Uncle BB, I did that crochet talking for you. Yeah, if it only took you a few months to get a quilt made, that's pretty fast. I know they've got machines and stuff nowadays that quilt the quilts for you, but you got to have a big room, and I think with something that holds the quilt to be able to do it, to where it's even, it doesn't get pulled and bunched up. And I never got into quilting that much. My mom used to have a wooden frame, and it was just two, like, 4 2x2 poles, and they were fastened together at the corners. And as you got the quilt done, you start at one end of it, and you'd work your way back. Well, as you got each section done, you could roll the quilt up on those 2x2s, so you could get to it, get closer to it. Because if you get halfway down a quilt and you're back way at the end of it, you can't reach it to quilt it. So you could roll it up, and that puts you right to where you needed to be to, continue to quilt the quilt. I don't know whatever happened to that when she passed away. Learned early in life, been doing it for 50 years. Have you ever made a paper quilt? I think the most interesting one I ever learned to make was what they call a paper quilt. Have you ever made one of those? Wadaken or whatever? I can't even pronounce that name. It's where you take your squares, and I use magazines or newspaper, and I just cut out squares of paper the size of the quilt square that I wanted, and then you literally take scraps of material and you sew it on the paper till you get to the square, and then you trim around the edges, and then later when you put all the squares together, you pull the paper off the back of it, and it's called a paper quilt. And that's the way you used up all the little tiny scraps that normally you wouldn't put in a quilt. And it makes it looks kind of like a stained glass effect when you put all those odd pieces together like that. I did a video, I think the first year that I started YouTube, on making paper quilt squares. And I did the whole video on that. So I don't know if you could go back and find that to see it. I know my mom made all of her quilts by hand. A lot of times, though, she sewed the squares on the machine, and then she quilted everything and put it together by hand. No, I don't have pictures or videos of my mom. I did a video, I think the first year I did YouTube videos on paper quilt. I showed everybody how you sewed the fabric onto the paper square, to make your square, and then put it together and then take your paper off later. Some of the viewers asked me, well, how do you wash your quilt with the paper on the back of it? I said, because you don't leave the paper on it. Once you get the whole quilt top sewed together, you peel all the paper off the back of it. But it keeps it completely squared to where it doesn't stretch. So when you sew your squares together, your squares are even and uniform. They don't stretch out of shape or anything. Yeah, I did pictures of that, and I did one live where I was showing people how did my granny squares and how I put them together to make my crocheted bedspread that's on my bed right now. I did 2 separate videos on making 2 aprons 2 different times, because I designed them and put them together and sewed them and made them right in the video complete from start to finish, and I never used a pattern one. They were just, well, let me see if I can do this, this, or this, and what I thought up in my head, that's how I made my apron. And then I had people message me wanting to know if I would sell the aprons that I made in that video. And I said, well, I hadn't thought about it. And then I had some other ladies that messaged me and they said, oh my God, you gave us some great ideas. We do videos on making aprons, but we never tried to make one like you did. Well, you can do a paper quilt by hand. You can cut all your squares the size you want your quilt squares to be. And then you can take your fabric and you literally sew it to the paper. You know, you have to line it up to where the fabric meets. And if it's too short, you got to start in a corner to where it goes straight across the corner and then sew it to the paper. And then the rest of it's the same way. You kind of piece it all together and sew it on the paper. And then when you get through, you trim around the paper and you got your square. And a lot of times it looks kind of like a stained glass pattern, because you got so many different odd shaped pieces of material in so many different colors. It was a way that the old timers used up every bit of their fabric. They didn't waste anything. Learned early in life, been doing it for 50 years. I made an apron in home economics class when I was 14 or so. I'm sure it ain't the same. I made 2 dresses in home economics when I was in high school. And they had us do a fashion show in the gym, not in the gym, but in the auditorium in front of the whole school. And they picked out 10 top dresses, or 10 top people that made the dresses, which ones were the best. And I came in the top 10 with mine. And I literally got married in one of those dresses that I made in high school in home economics. I made one pink one that had a full skirt, and then I made a blue cotton dress with a white silk belt, and it had like puff sleeves, and it was a tight fitting skirt. I got married in that the first time I got married. I got married in that dress. My first husband and I, we went to South Carolina and got married, and I had that dress on. I wore my dress and a pair of white shoes that matched my white silk belt. It was like a tie belt. It wasn't a buckled belt. And I did a good job, fantastic job on those 2 dresses, I must say myself. I don't think they even teach. Well, they did in the high school here, the last school year that I substitute taught, because I substituted for the home economics class. And they still had sewing machines where they made stuff and all that. Some people, back when I was in high school, some of those girls even made their own prom dresses in home economics. And they got graded on making their own prom dress. Oh my God, I don't think I could have attempted a prom dress back then. I mean, with that net material and the full fancy skirts. And, oh, I don't think I could ever got that done. I mean, I might have, but. And I remember the last meal I cooked in home economics. It was barbecued pork chops, creamed potatoes, and green peas. And it was good. Well, maybe they don't in some areas. They do here. Well, and they've got a cooking class in the high school here. It's for people that want to become real chefs. I don't remember what the name of the class is, but they go in there and they cook the whole classroom. The whole classroom time is them in there cooking. And they to the high school students, or I think they got to where they actually even serve it in the cafeteria. You can get a chance to buy some of the high school's chef class food that they cook. They bring it down to the cafeteria at lunch, and you can buy that if you want it. Yeah, it's a lost science. Homemade is beautiful, even if ugly. But yeah, they taught. I don't think they called it home economics. They called it something else. But they had all the sewing machines and everything in there, so they taught you how to sew. They had the kitchen where they taught you to cook and bake and all that. And then the last year that I subbed out there, they opened up a new section of the school that they had just built, and it's a class for people that think they want to really be a real chef. And they teach you how chefs do everything in the kitchen. Here they even quit teaching driver's ed. Well, I don't know. I mean, the last I knew, they still taught driver's ed here. I mean, they may have stopped it. I don't know, but I don't know why they would stop driver's ed. I thought it was a good idea to have kids teach them the right way to drive, you know. Some of these people around here driving without license and insurance and that don't speak or read English need a driver's ed class. I'm telling you, they do. Because a lot of them are driving illegally because they couldn't even pass a driving test. Exactly, Chill. They teach you how to be a taxpayer, not an innovator. Yeah, I know some classrooms it's bad nowadays, and some people blame the teachers, but you got to remember it's not all the teachers' fault. Those teachers, for the most part, are doing the best they can with the students that they're dealt with. Because, like I said, a lot of these students do not respect the teachers. They don't respect their own parents. They don't respect anybody. All they think about is what they want. They could care less about school. They could care less about learning anything. Oh, let's not speak about engineers and doctors we're importing. I don't think we need to import any of them. They need to go back to their own countries and practice their medicine. I mean, I know we've got good, the surgeon that I had years ago when I needed surgery, she was Vietnamese, and that was the best surgeon in the world. And everybody sweared about this surgeon. She said she is the best surgeon you could have possibly ever gotten. And she was a young woman. But she told me, she said, she says, it cost so much to go to school, took so long to go to school and everything, that she'll never own her own nice home the way a lot of doctors here do, because she'll never have the money to do it. And she probably sends a lot of the money she does make back to Vietnam for her family. Her parents, her siblings, Kids here take driver's ed through a private company. Yeah, all that was in the school curriculum. It's the internet. My grandson just went through driver's training and got his driver's license on his sweet 16th, August 13th. Your husband's Vietnamese? Her name is Dr. Chow. She is the best surgeon. Oh my God. I couldn't have got a better surgeon if I would have went out there and had people looking for one. Yeah, doctors are struggling because you think the prices are up for them, you know. They make good money, but they pay out good money. I thought it was extra special, Loretta. I mean, like I said one time, I was at the cancer center for blood work because every time I went there, the first thing they did was send me in the lab where they drew blood. And this technician that was in there that I saw most of the time, and probably about every time or every other time, she was the one that drew my blood. Because, you know, they rotated, they had several there because they had so many people coming through. One couldn't handle drawing all the blood, so they had several. And she seemed upset that day, and I said, well, you seem like you've got something bothering you. You're upset. She says, oh, yeah. She said, I got my tax bill. I said, oh, no. All of us love our taxes, don't we? She said, well, my tax for my home was only $12,000. I like to die. I could not fathom in my mind having a house that was worth so much money that your property tax alone was $12,000 for that year. Yeah, they have to pay medical loans. It costs a lot to go to medical school, and it takes a lot of years to go through medical school. Yep, and they work very long hours. They use Chromebooks. They don't know how to write in cursive. Well, most kids growing up today don't know how to write in cursive because they were never taught in school. I think they stopped teaching cursive writing in school altogether. It costs $400. Jill said property tax has another scam. We own nothing and we'll smile. Well, since I filed homestead and I'm over and I'm over 65, my taxes are on my property here just very small. Now, my property in North Carolina, I don't get any type of tax break on that. There's supposed to be like some kind of a deduction if you're over 65, I think. But I've never applied for it. I don't know if they'd give it to me. I don't know how they do that. Because I know in Texas, they'll give you homestead on your house if you apply for it. And that drops your tax every year tremendously. But you can only file homestead on one property, one place in Texas. You can't have multiple listings filed under homestead. And that's fine because this is the only place I have here. But in North Carolina, it's a different thing. All I own is property, and they tax me dearly on that. I hate to see my taxes come around this year for the property back there. Well, we all have to get ready for new doctors. Our grandkids will have to deal with when they get older. All these doctors are graduating using Chat GPT now. Really? Sad the way everything is going today. Well, I know Dr. Chow's dream was to become a doctor and come to America and make all this money, that the doctors make. And she found out really it's not that way with everybody. Because I'm sure she still had loans to pay back. She probably rents an apartment or rents a house. She probably doesn't even own the house she lives in. And she told me one day, because she was so disappointed, she said, I'll never own my own home. I'll never have a nice home. She said, I'll never be able to afford one. And I thought that was sad, after she went to school for so long to be a great surgeon and not being able to afford a nice home. Purina cat chow chow, you crazy. But you got to think, $12,000 on property tax for a house for 1 year, that's got to be $1 million home. Because I know some homes that are $500,000, which is $500,000, their taxes per year are like $7,000 a year. And it does determine on where the house is too. But I can't imagine having the income even to pay a property tax of $12,000 for 1 year. Well, like I said, you can file homestead here in Texas. They've always had homestead here, but a lot of people don't know it. And I didn't know about it when I first bought this place. And I went into the tax office one day to pay my property taxes. And I said, why has the property tax went up on this property? Because the old property tax that I paid was still for most of the year that was for the previous owners. So I got a really low property tax. The next year it like tripled. And I went in and I asked them, I said, why is my tax so much? And they said, well, it's because it was filed under homestead. And you get a big tax break on homestead. And you haven't filed homestead yet. And I said, really? I said, I didn't know you had to file it every owner. I thought it just rolled over with the property. And they said, no, every time a property is sold and bought, whoever buys the property has to refile homestead. So I refiled that day. And the next year, my property tax dropped to nothing. And then when I passed 65, it dropped even lower. Ken said, my taxes are $1,200. Is that what you're saying in Raleigh? Even $1,200 is a lot. I know the last year my mom lived, I remember her telling me that her taxes for her house in Atkinson, in that little bitty hometown, crossroad town, her taxes were almost $900 for the year. You pay is that $1,500? $15,000? What, Uncle BB? Yeah, every state has different laws on your property taxes. Not every state will let you file a homestead. Texas will if it's just on one household. If it's the house you're living in, you can file homestead on that property. But if you own another house, like you rent out one or something, you cannot file homestead on the second one. Oh my God. I could buy a new house for $15,000. I could buy me a new travel trailer for $15,000. Well, no, maybe I couldn't, because the ones I went and looked at started at like $30,000 and $35,000. Your water tax is $300 a year. Well, I pay a water bill every month, Chill, not a yearly tax. And my water bill for last month was $102. I know you think you buy something, you pay tax when you buy something, that you wouldn't be having to pay tax on it every year you own it after that. Looks like your initial sale when you bought it and paid taxes would be it, so you would own your property, but it's not that way. You got to pay more taxes every year. Because the government's got to get theirs, the school district's got to get theirs, the city's got to get theirs, the county's got to get theirs. Oh, it's terrible. Sometimes I think people are just as well off if they rent, because at least they're not paying taxes on that rental property. Oh my God, Lynn. Your electric bill is never more than $385. I could not pay $385 every month. Oh no. And I filter the water. Oh my God, chill. I feel bad for you. If you pay that much for water every year, you shouldn't have to filter it. It should come pristine clean. They should filter it already before you get it. It's a modest high ranch. I made all my own clothes in high school, many times using the same pattern to different scrap fabrics. My mom made most of my clothes when I was going to school. She made all my dresses and my skirts. She even made slacks, because I remember there was one outfit I loved. She made me a red vest out of corduroy and a pair of red pants to go with it, long slacks. And I loved that outfit. And then later, when I was toward high school, I started learning how to sew myself. So by the time I got married, I could sew and make my own clothes. And I had to make just about everything I wore back then, or my mom had to make it, because back then they didn't have petite sizes. And all the regular sizes were way too long. If I bought a dress, it was about that too long in the waist. So I couldn't buy a dress. It would never fit right. I could buy a skirt, but usually the skirt was way too long. And all the slacks I would buy would fit, but then they were like 6 inches too long, so I always had to cut them off. And it wasn't till, I don't know, I guess almost the time I moved to Texas, they started making petite sizes. And then it was just some things, and then gradually more and more companies started adding the petite sizes to their clothesline. Pristine clean with the right chemicals, yeah. When you got city water, you're always drinking chemicals of some kind. I don't care. But I've got that water pitcher up here. This right here. And I have to fill it up all the time because I'm always using water out of it. But that filter right there takes everything out of your water. It even takes the chemicals out of your water. So when you're drinking this water, there's nothing left in it. It's pure water. But I don't drink enough of it. I get in a hurry to make my pot of coffee, and I'll just take my coffee pot to the faucet and fill it up without even thinking and put it on the coffee maker. Yeah, you see a lot of petite sizes now. Everything almost comes in a petite or a tall size and a regular size. Because they finally realized everybody's not tall. I'm only 5'2", and I've been 5'2" since I was 13 years old. Or 5'2 and a half, something like that. And I said, I wish they'd start back making the narrow shoes because I can't find shoes hardly ever to fit me anymore. Yeah, I'd love to have a filtering system for my water, but I'd want it on the main line coming into the house. I want everything in my house filtered because that's why my skin is so dry. It's the chemicals in my shower water. And if you put a filter to your kitchen sink, you still got the chemicals that you're showering in, and it's still going to dry your skin out. Everybody says that's on city water says they have dry skin, and it's because of the chemicals in the water. So I'd love, if I could afford it one day, I don't know when it'll be, may not ever be able to afford a water filter that filtered from the main line coming in every drop of water that came into this house. But then, you know, the filter would cost a lot. The filtering system would cost a lot. You're not worried about your shower toilet water now. Well, I'm not worried about the toilet water, but I've had dry skin, extremely dry skin, ever since I came to Texas. I never had it back in North Carolina because it's so humid, and we always had well water in North Carolina. We didn't have treated city water coming into our house. So we didn't have those chemicals, and I never had dry skin. But I do now, because every day I shower, it's in the chemicals that goes on my skin in my shower. Linda, I'm 50. I wish I knew how to sew because I have issues even when I buy clothes in petite sizes. Yeah, usually anything I ever buy, I'm always altering somehow, some way. And it's a good thing to know. If you know how to sew, you understand your patterns, and you buy something that needs to be altered, you don't have to take it to someone and pay them to alter it. You can do it yourself. I had an aunt that come to me several times to make dresses for her daughter. She'd bring me the pattern she wanted made, the material and everything, and I'd make it and call her when the dresses were ready. And I made one with dress for my cousin, and it had a scalloped bottom, and I hemmed it with the scalloped bottom on it. And my Aunt Emily told me, she said, Betty Jo loved that dress so much, especially with the scallop bottom, and it was a couple of inches too long, but she was a tall girl, but it was below her knees is what I'm saying. It wasn't down to her ankles or nothing. It was a little bit, couple of inches longer than what she wanted, but she said she would not hem it up with that scallop bottom because she didn't want to ruin the bottom of the dress. She left it just like it was, and she wore it all the time. I can't use coconut oil. I'm allergic to coconut oil. I'd break out in hives. If I used it very much, I would. But you know, you shouldn't have to use coconut oil or shea oil or any kind of oil on your body because the chemicals in your water dries your skin out. There should be some way, and there is a way. It's just expensive. I don't have the money to buy the system, the filters, and I don't have the money to pay somebody to install that filtering system on the main line coming into my house. If I could afford it, believe you me, it would have been there already. Huh. Well, I used to use baby oil a lot, especially when I was going to the pool, and suntan oil, so I was always lubricated. So my skin wasn't too bad then, but my scalp is always dry. By the time I shampoo my hair and my hair is dry, my scalp is already dry. And I've heard other women say they think everybody that uses city water to shampoo their hair ends up with dry skin. There's no way around it because it's the chemicals. Hi, Flora. How are you doing? Good thing, Lena. Coconut oil or shea butter will help with dry skin. Your cousin is too. She's allergic to coconut oil. I used to use baby lotion a lot. You know, the pink lotion like cream. I used to use that a lot. I even use that to shave my legs rather than shaving cream because to me it worked better and it left my legs real soft. I just lather my legs up with baby lotion and then shave them. Try Pretl in the new unbreakable bottle. Huh. Well, I found out the hard way I was allergic to coconut oil. Um, I got medication one time that was, the base of it was coconut oil, and it was a cream you rubbed on your skin, and your skin absorbed the medicine through your skin, you know, from the oil, from the cream. That's what I'm trying to say. I used it for 3 days, just rubbed a little bit on my skin. All of a sudden one night I went to the mailbox because I had forgot to get the mail. I reached my hand in to get my mail and I couldn't see because it was dark. And all of a sudden I felt this stinging going on and it started coming up my hand and up my arm. And I jerked my arm out of the mailbox and I was going like this. I thought I had ants on me. And I ran to the house with my mail and there was nothing there. I had my letter. There was no ants on the mail. There was no ants on my arm or my hand, but it was stinging like little pins sticking you, almost like an ant bite. And it was going up my arm. And I thought the ants were traveling up my arm. And I was like this all the way to the door, you know. And then I felt crazy when I got to the door and the light and I saw there was nothing there. But that's when I started breaking it. It went all over my body. And right after that, I had these big red blotches all over my face, my arms, my butt, my feet, everywhere. I broke out in hives. Better than ants in your pants. Yeah, I thought somehow ants got up in my mailbox. And when I reached in to get the mail, the ants got on me and started crawling up and biting me, and it scared me to death. And then when I realized there was nothing there, I thought to myself, what in the world? What's going on? And then when I broke out in hives, I called the company that sent me that medication cream, and I told them what happened. And they said, well, you're allergic to coconut oil. But they said, it's all right. Take Benadryl. You probably have to take it for a week or two, but take it every day and it'll get rid of the hives. And that's what I did. But I suffered with those hives until they were gone. And then they said, we'll resend you a new supply of that medication, but it'll have a grapeseed oil base. It won't have the coconut oil in it. And they said usually nobody is ever allergic to the grapeseed oil. They sent me that and it worked fine and it didn't bother me at all. Yeah, but can you imagine going to your mailbox at night? You didn't have a light with you or anything. I just reached in to feel if there was anything in the box. Because there's usually nothing in my mailbox but mail, you know. There's not usually bugs or ants or anything like that in my mailbox. I just reached my hand in there and felt the envelopes and I pulled them out. Or reached them in and before I could even pull my hand out, I felt all that stinging and I thought ants crawling up my arm. Oh my God, I'll never forget that. Pat Watson said, hi everyone, I'm enjoying all the conversations, just been staying quiet. Well, welcome to the live chat, Pat. But could you imagine when it's in the dark and you reach your arm in the mailbox and it feels like ants, millions of ants getting on your hand, climbing up your arm and stinging you? I was terrified for a second. Oh my God, I could imagine I was going to have ant bites all over my body before I could even get to the house. But it was not ants. It was nothing there. It was the reaction. It took that long, 3 days of using that coconut oil cream on my arm to break out in hives from it. By then, I had enough in my system that I had the allergic reaction to it. I mean, I still eat coconut once in a while. You know, I'll put it in cupcakes or cakes, but I'm not eating it all the time, and I'm not eating large quantities of it to where it's going to bother me. I've used Baby Magic lotion. That's good lotion. You're brave. Oh, I wasn't brave that night. I was going crazy trying to get back to the house to get those ants off of me. And then when I opened the door and got in the light, there was nothing on me. Oh my God. Pink bottle lotion, yep. Baby Magic is in a pink bottle. I've used many a bottle of that. And it is great lotion, I'm here to tell you. But in North Carolina, I never had to rub down in lotion every time I took a bath or shower. But it was because of the water. It was well water we pumped ourselves. It didn't come with chemicals and stuff in it. Now, it did have, what do they call it? Iron. I mean, it smelled and tasted fine. Ours didn't have so much in it that it made it smell like rotten eggs, which there was some people in our area, depending on where their house was located, that you'd have to almost hold your nose to drink the water because it smelled like rotten eggs. The taste wasn't bad if you could get by the smell of it. Ours didn't smell that way. But if you got it in a commode, after a period of time of not cleaning that commode, it would turn, you'd get a yellow stain in the bottom of the commode, or you'd get a yellow stain in your bathtub or your sink. But you could use Comet or Ajax cleanser and scrub it out and it would come back white. Great for repelling mosquitoes. I use Pond's Cold Cream as a moisturizer for my face every day. Or every time I take a shower, I put Pond's Cold Cream on my face. I've done that since I was probably 12 or 13. I've used just regular lotions on my face and it seems like it dries out. It soaks in really fast and then your skin is dry. The Pond's Cold Cream doesn't do that. It soaks in, but your skin doesn't feel dry after that, after it soaks in. And it doesn't feel dry either. Chill said the rotten egg smell is my shower and drinking water. So you've got iron in your water. That can't be city water, not with iron in it. Not the way they treat it. Looks like they would get that out of it before you ever got it. Well, when I say well water, I don't mean like a well that you dip a bucket down in. I mean a well where they drive a pipe down in the ground like 100 feet down and hit water and it comes up through your pipe. And then you got a water pump that pumps it to your house. There's no way a snake can get in there. But I meant well water because it's coming from the ground. It's not coming from the city chemical plant, where they store your water and pump it to you. Yeah, I love it the way it makes my skin feel because I can shower in the morning. By the time my face is dry, Oh my God, I can run my hands around my face like this, and it feels so dry and crusty feeling. I mean, I've never had my skin feel like that till I moved to Texas. Those chemicals, that water just dries your skin out so bad that I use Pond's cold cream religiously every day. I mean, I used it in North Carolina too, but if I washed my face and it dried, it didn't feel dry and crusty like that. Almost like leather. Actually was on private property outside the city. I mean, some people that have a lot of iron in their water probably would welcome well water as long as it didn't have all that iron in it. But it was just in different locations in our county that the water was that bad where it smelled like rotten eggs. Now where my aunt lived was about 3 or 4 miles away from our house. No, it was 4 miles away from our house. Her water smelled terrible. It turned everything yellow. It was the iron, and you literally had to hold your nose to drink the water. Now, my grandmother lived only about a mile away from her, closer toward us. Her well water was fine. It had no smell. It tasted really fresh and clean. And then down where we lived in town, there was a little in it, enough that it would turn your tub or your sink or your commode yellow if you went for about a week or so without cleaning it, scrubbing it out. It would turn it yellow. And it would, over time, it would turn your white clothes yellow. They would have a yellow tint. But my mom always used bleach in the white clothes. And that kept the white clothes white and kept the iron from making them look yellow looking. Flora said water smelled too. I know it's bad at where my niece lives. She said she'd welcome city water just to where she could drink water that didn't smell like rotten eggs. So her water at her house must not be that good. It's full of iron. And our town didn't have city water up until the last couple of years. And then I think it's optional. It's not mandatory that you're put on the city water. Up where my property is, they wanted you to put your home on city water, but then you could pump water from a well to water your yard or your animals or, anything like that outside. But thank God I don't have water there yet, so I don't have to pay a bill for that. Yeah, the sulfur of the iron it's not going to hurt you. It just smells bad. Yeah, it's safe to drink. It just, if you can get by the smell. Like I said, at our house, you couldn't smell it. It just, like water, there was no smell to it. So you could drink gallons of it and not ever smell the egg. But up at my aunt's house, which is 4 miles away, her water was so full of sulfur, iron, it smelled like rotten eggs. You couldn't stand to smell it to drink it. Yeah, we need minerals, but we don't need all these chemicals they put in our water. And well water or water you pumped from the ground yourself is so much better for your skin because there's no chemicals in that water. Everything that's in that water is natural stuff. It's not chemicals. Mom also used Paquins. I don't know about that one. She didn't have ladies coming for bridge. She lived out in the country. This was many years ago. I don't think my aunt ever went to a bridge party. She wouldn't have been called at a bridge party. She had a farm. She was raising pigs and ducks and chickens and all kind of animals. I know. I wish I had my own well down here. And they tell us you're not allowed to put your own well down, but I don't know why you shouldn't. They claim that the people that put this subdivision in bought up all the water and mineral rights when they put the subdivision in. So they own the water and mineral rights. We don't. Therefore, we're told we cannot put down our own well. But you know what? I have neighbors that did that. They moved here from Canada. And she said, I know they tell you you're not supposed to put your own well down. But she said, guess what? We got our own well down. They're not going to stop me from pumping my own water. And they never paid a water bill. They pumped their own water from the ground the whole time they lived here. And I guess the people that took the house over since they moved and sold it, they love the fact that they've got a well. No, we're not supposed to be allowed to drill for water here because the company that bought up all this property to put this subdivision in bought up the mineral and water rights. They own the water and mineral rights to the property I own, which I don't think that's right. They shouldn't have been able. If you buy your property, you should own whatever's underneath it. You had Culligan years ago. It was too pricey. And I can't imagine what it would cost to drill to put a well down. It would probably cost so much there's no way I could ever afford to do it. But I tell you, if I got to keep paying $100 water bills every month, I could pay for a well on a payment plan as well as I could pay for $100 water bill a month. Yeah, therefore, if you find oil, if all of a sudden oil pops up out of my yard, I don't own the oil that comes up out of the ground. The company that started the subdivision owns it. That ain't right. You know, I bought my property, I own my property, I own the rocks in my property, I own the dirt in my property. I should own anything else that's under the ground in my property. Now, back home in North Carolina, I own the mineral and water rights to that 6 acres. I mean, it's probably all iron water, sulfur water, that I'm not going to want to smell if it was put a well down. And there'll probably never ever be any minerals there worth anything, and there'll probably never ever be oil popping up out of the ground. Maybe I should do like the Clampetts when I got home one time. I should take somebody's shotgun out there and shoot in the ground and see if oil will come up out of the hole. Well, the people that live on the lake, they pay a yearly fee for the right to pump water from the lake to like water their yards and stuff. Up here we don't pay it because we're not on the lake, and I don't have the right of way to the water. So I know somebody told me I should fill my back of my car full of buckets, 5-gallon buckets with lids, and go down to the lake and fill them up, bring them back up here and water my garden with them. I said, I think if they found out I was doing that very often, they'd probably want to charge me a fee for the water. Right, we don't own anything anymore. Don't get me started on HOAs. Well, after I moved here, and I was still here when my husband and I separated and divorced, I started hearing all these negative things about HOAs, you know. And I thought to myself, At the time, it didn't dawn on me, I live in a HOA. So yeah, the HOA has rules and regulations. In a way, it's a good thing, and in a way, it can be bad. The way that it's good is everybody out here can't just do whatever they want to with everybody's property. It's got to be voted on as every property owner out here. Like to put the pool in or to reopen the pool. You just can't decide, well, we're going to open the pool and do it. It's got to be voted on by all the people that own property out here. Because it's going to be some of their tax dollars or their dues that they pay to take care of the payment for the pool to be open. But sometimes I wished I did live out in the county and I pumped my own water so I didn't have a water bill. I wished I had solar for my electricity so I didn't have to pay an electric bill. I don't mind the gas to heat and cool, but you know, if I had solar, I could run my heater, my AC off of solar. But, you know, I couldn't afford to do that. Even if I sold this place and somehow accidentally found property out in the country, I couldn't afford to put a house up and to do all the solar and all that stuff. It's costly, y'all, even solar. This one couple that does YouTube videos, back when they moved to the mountains and they live off grid, they said they checked into what it would cost to go off grid, you know, with their electricity and be hooked to the system. And they said as far out in the country as they were, the electric company told them it would cost them $12,000 to run enough line and poles in the ground to get to where their house is going to be. And then they checked in the solar, and it was basically going to cost them the same thing for the whole solar system to put it up in their house, to run their house off of. So guess what? They went with solar because they'll pay the initial $12,000. They'll pay the upkeep of their solar system or whatever they needed to add to it later. But that initial $12,000 would be eventually paid off, and they wouldn't continually pay a monthly electric bill. And I agree with them. And everybody in Texas should be on solar. With this heat in Texas, yeah, everybody that lives in Texas needs to be on solar, not company electric. I mean, I don't know why years ago more people didn't go with solar. Maybe they didn't have solar for individuals available. I don't know. Or maybe it was going to be so costly out here it was cheaper just to hook to the grid. I don't know. But, yeah, it'd be so nice not to have a water bill, not to have an electric bill, not to have a gas bill for heating and cooking. But I probably would because I don't like electric stoves. I'd rather go with gas. So there's pros and cons to that. But yeah, if I could get rid of an electric bill and a water bill every month, I would love it. I mean, sure, you'd still have to keep your pump maintained that pumped your water to your house. In time, you'd have to replace your pump. But it's not like paying couple of $100 a month for water every single month. Your kids want to do a family compound, several houses and several acres in the country. That sounds great. I would go for a family compound. I don't know if this house could stand to move like that. I've heard the older mobile homes, when you move them, it causes the roof to leak and everything else. And you know, I put a new roof on this house, and it's still got the original roof, and then there's an air gap between that and the steel roof that's on it. If I was to move and do all that, I'd want a new house, I think. And it's so costly today. This house, brand new, would probably cost me $30,000 or $40,000. Or if I could get it that cheap. Because most of the small double wides that I went, or the manufactured homes that I looked at, The little tiny ones started out at like 35,000 and up. So this place with 3 bedrooms, living room, kitchen, bath and a half, yeah, I paid probably $40,000 or more for it. I can't afford to replace what I got. Really, I can't. Well, my roof don't leak. I said if I was to move the house, it probably would cause it to. Probably cause it to leak more than just the roof. Probably cause the windows to leak and everything else. I mean, the newer mobile homes, you know, they can handle the moving around a lot better. But the older they get, the less you want to move them. Hi, Sandra. How are you doing? My brother's getting disgusted. You know, he got one of those manufactured homes, moved to his new property. And he said they've been working on putting that house up for 6 months. And he's not in it yet. And he's starting to get a little bit disgusted. And it was supposed to go up so fast, you know. And one of his friends told him, they said, well, they got their money. They don't care if they finish it or not. I tell you, I wouldn't pay for nothing that wasn't ready to move in. I would have told them, you put the house up, the day that I move in, I'll sign the papers and give you the money. Not until then. I got to be satisfied with the house you built. I'm doing real good, just trying to stay cool. It was 107. It's still 103 right now. It dropped to 103 here at 7:30, almost 7:30. Yeah, the mobile homes, the less you move it, the better. I know some friends, they moved their mobile home from North Carolina to Texas when they came out here when her husband was transferred to the nuclear power plant here from North Carolina. And they said it caused their roof to leak something awful. They had to basically put a new roof on the mobile home. How old is it? This is a 1969 New Moon mobile home. Don't think I want to be moving it. It don't leak right now. I don't want it to leak. That's one reason a lot of people, when you see them doing much traveling around, they're traveling in brand new RVs and travel trailers. Most of the time it's not an older one. You find the older ones parked somewhere up for sale. And then when you get it, you got to strip it and almost rebuild it. I saw a short video the other day and I thought it was so cute. This couple bought this little tiny camper trailer. And I think they paid like $400 for it. And you'll never dream what they used it for. They turned it into a chicken coop. And it was so cute. But that's where they kept their chickens. But they left the whole outside of it just like the camper trailer. The inside they gutted out and fixed, of course, you know, the roosting boxes and all that for them to lay their eggs and the bars for the chickens to get up on and stuff like that. But it was so cute. And they had a sign up on it, on the front at the door. It said chicken house. Or I think it said chicken house. Yeah, I've did a lot of maintenance on this house over the years that I've lived in it. Anything that went wrong with it, I got it repaired right away. If the roof leaked, I got that fixed before it did any damage to the ceiling. And then after the first leak, I got up there and started fixing the leaks and tarring the whole top of the roof myself. Until finally I was getting to the point where I was afraid to go up there anymore. Because I didn't have any neighbors close by. I said I could get up there and get stranded and couldn't get down, then what would I do? And I didn't have a cell phone then either. So I had a metal roof put on. So I wouldn't have to get up there and tar it every year or every other year. But it did not leak at the time I had it re-roofed. Put that. And they told me with that air gap between the old roof and the new one, that would cut my heating and cooling down about 40%. Yeah, thank God I don't have leaks. I don't want leaks. I couldn't handle leaks. A friend of mine, she had an older mobile home that lived just several blocks from me. Oh my God, every time it rained, her house leaked everywhere. It leaked at the windows, it leaked from the ceiling. And they get people there to fix it, and it still leaked. That's why I started fixing my own. I paid a guy $150. My roof started leaking right in front of the kitchen sink, right where you stand to wash dishes. I paid that guy $150 to go up there and fix the leak. You know what happened the next time it rained? It leaked just as bad as it did before I got him here to fix it. So I said, there's no way I'm getting him back. I went to the store. I bought a roll of duct tape and a little quart jar or quart can of roofing tar. I got up there and I tarred it and I taped it and tarred it. I taped it and tarred it so much times around where it was leaking at that it never leaked after that. And then I refused to pay anybody to come here to tar the top. I'd get up and do it myself. I'd get up there with a regular mop and mop the top of the roof. I tried to pay my son. I said, son, I'll give you the $150 if you get up there and do it. He had other things to do. And then a couple hours after I finished the roof myself and was down, he come home. Mommy said, you still want the roof tarred? I'll do it for you. I said, son, I've already done it. It was a hot job, but I got it done. And I did it for several years. And my roof never leaked. And once I fixed my windows never leaked either. Because you get a leak in your house, I don't care if it's the windows or your roof, it's going to cause a lot of damage if you don't get it fixed real quick. I don't know if I might be a jack of all trades, but I'm a master of none. I go through trial and error and I get things done the way I think they should be. Just like I got that electrician out here that time to fix the light switch in my daughter's bedroom. It got to where she'd flip the switch on, it wouldn't come on or off. So I called an electrician. He put in a switch. That switch lasted about 2 weeks and then it was burnt out again. I said, well, you're not getting another $150 out of me, or $140 is what it was. I went to the store, and we didn't have Walmart back then. I think that was even, well, we may have had the old Walmart. I went to Walmart and got a switch, came home. I took the old one apart, looked at it, saw how it was put together, and I said, well, that one wasn't right because he's got threads, the wires crossed somewhere. Well, I used common sense, or what I thought was common sense, and tried to wire it back the way I thought it was supposed to be. Put it back in the wall, screwed it down, and you know what? To this day, that is the light switch I put in that wall. It has worked every day since. And that's been many, many years ago, since my daughter was a teenager. So you got to be careful. You got to get recommendations for repairmen, because you can't trust a lot of them. They come in and they'll fix things, but they'll fix it in a way that they got to come back, and they'll charge you more money. And I've learned that many years ago, and I said, oh no, you're not pulling this crap on me. You got money the first time. You're not coming back to get any more. What is the old saying? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I think that's kind of the way it went. Maybe not exactly, but yeah, I learned my lesson the first go round. You don't fix it the first time, you don't get a second chance at it. Hi, all. Canada here again. Well, hi, Brenda. Goodness gracious, y'all. You didn't tell me we've been on here for 2.5 hours. I've been so busy talking. My chats are my visiting time with all my people. Duct tape. D-U-C-T tape. Or it could be duck. D-U-C-K tape. It's the heavy-duty Gorilla tape is what I'm started using. Since they came out with the Gorilla duct tape, I use that. I use the heavy-duty stuff. Oh, chill. My aunt of 80 years used bubble gum to plug holes from a curtain. You're crazy. That's why I miss construction back home. All homes built in brick and concrete. We use water hose to clean our porch, windows inside and out. Don't worry about the walls, house puffing up. You know, I watched a few of the videos from, I don't know if it's Iraq, Iran, Pakistan, where these people live in caves. And I thought it was interesting, so I watched it for a while. They dig out a cave and then they put concrete down on the ground, level it out. And then they put ceramic tiles down, cement the tiles down. And then they do the same with the walls and they put stuff up on the ceiling. And when they get ready to clean their floor, they pull the rugs out, come in with a water hose and hose the walls down, hose the floor down and sweep the water out. I said, what a great way to clean house. But you know, those people are poor. They have no lumber available to them. And if they do, it's very small amount. And it's not really the type of lumber that you build furniture or homes out of. So everything there is built out of concrete rocks and concrete blocks, you know, like cement blocks, cinder blocks as we always called them. But after watching it a while, I found even in their little cities, all the houses and the buildings there are built out of concrete rock block. Virtually no wood used. And then for the roof, they get this real cheap, like wood slats that they get from the wood store where they have a wood store. And they literally mill out boards, and they're not even boards. They're all misshaped boards and uneven. But if they're long enough, they lay them up on the roof with like trees across it, you know, the logs from what trees they have found where they could buy. And they laid those boards across them. And then they put plastic over that. And then they pile several inches of dirt on top of that. And then they make like a border of like bricks around the edge of the roof. And then they pour concrete on top of the dirt. And then I watched them, they do one step further. On top of the concrete, they pour, well, they don't pour it. They roll out that tar paper. And they take a blowtorch and heat up the tar on the underside so it sticks to the concrete. Oh my God. And they were building their own homes over there. I said, I don't know. I know they're poor people. They live out basically in the desert. There's no trees. What little bitty trees are growing look like bushes. And to get firewood to even cook their meals on, they go out and pick up the old dead branches that fell off the trees, or they get an old dead tree. They wouldn't dare touch a live tree or bush that's growing because there's so few of them. I thought to myself, I don't even see how they manage to wrangle up enough wood to cook their meals every day on an open fire. Yeah, best way to build, easy to maintain and clean. Wouldn't have to worry about a flood. Once the water ran out, your concrete and tile would still be there. You just have to clean it. They use Armstrong tile. And I thought it was just the poor people that lived in the caves, but when they'd go visiting other people in the city, in their homes, they had no furniture. It was just like a wall to wall room size rug on the floor. And if they didn't have one big enough to go cover the whole floor, they might have 4 rugs down, one in each corner to cover the entire floor. No furniture. They had pallets on the floor to sleep on, pillows laid up against the wall to lean back on if you sat, because everybody sat in the floor. You sat in the floor to eat, you got in the floor to sleep. I said, how uncomplicated, how easy to clean house when it's like that. You don't have furniture to dust off or mess with. I've got too much furniture and stuff in this place. How tacky? What do you mean, how tacky? I mean, it was easy to clean. They had clean houses. And there's Joan Sills. Hi, Joan. What's tacky about cement block and rock? There's one family right now I'm watching, they're building their house basically out of rock. Off their property, they're picking up these rocks. The ones that are too big, they're busting them apart, and they're stacking them with concrete. And their wall is probably, 18 to 20 inches thick. How's that for insulation, y'all? A 20-inch concrete and rock wall all around your house. Well, they put pallets down, Flora. Some of them buy the foam pads that lay on the floor that you sleep on, and you can't even tell you're on the floor when you're on those pads. They're like the foam. Other ones just have like padded pads that are real thick. They lay on those to sleep. And I've seen some of them just lay on the rug and go to sleep. I couldn't do that. My bones couldn't take laying on a hard floor. You watch those videos also, Sandra? They're interesting. And I watched, I'm interested in the food they cook. They mostly eat fresh vegetables, which consist of tomatoes, sometimes bananas, peaches or fruit, potatoes, onions, lots of onions, chicken, because they can get chicken at their little local store pretty readily if it's frozen. But they're poor people, so they don't have a lot for groceries. And they make their own bread, it looks like a tortilla, like a large tortilla. And they bake their own. They cook it in a big, looks like a cross between a wok and a frying pan. It's just a dome that they fry their bread on or cook their bread on. Linda said I'd have to have a tow truck. Yeah, once I get in my floor, I laid in my floor a lot for my back, and I'd lay on towels or a lumbar roll pillow for my back and my spine. Now it's hard especially since the last time I injured my neck, moving that property line back there. I get in the floor, I'm wondering if I'm going to get up. I got to have something to hold on to, and then I don't know if I'm going to be able to get up. Uncle BB said I'll stay in New York. But those people are so used to living like that. And I mean, their homes are clean. The tiles are pretty. The rugs are those antique looking style rugs that are handmade that are so expensive now. They're really pretty, but they just don't have furniture. They have stoves and refrigerators in their kitchen. They have no kitchen table. They have a kitchen sink. But yet they'll sit in the floor to peel their potatoes or cut their chicken up. Or, me, I'm standing at the sink cutting the chicken up. or I'm standing up peeling potatoes or prepping food to cook. They're sitting in the floor. I said, well, maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe I need to be sitting down at my kitchen table doing all that. Joan, she said, last time I was on the floor, my sister was going to call the fire department to get me up. No lemon pledge. They didn't have furniture to put it on. They just took the garden hose and hosed the walls down and hosed the floor down and swept off the dirt if there was any. Well, my kitchen is the main room in my house. I'm in here probably 9 out of 10 hours of every day, except for the time I'm in the bed asleep. I'm in my kitchen. I'm in my kitchen doing videos, cooking. I'm in my kitchen editing my videos. I used to go in the bedroom at the computer table and do all that. But I'd have to keep getting up, running in here, watching what was on the stove if I was doing a cooking video, then run back in there and do some more stuff on the computer. So I just finally brought my laptop in here. My other computer's in there. And this is where my laptop stays, unless I need to get it off the table for some reason. You know, if I was going to do a video of rolling out pie dough or something on the table, then of course I'm going to move my computer, move everything off the table. But yeah, I found out it's so much easier to do a cooking video with my laptop here. That way I can video what I need to video. When the camera's off, I can watch the stove. I don't have to worry about things boiling over or burning. I'm right here to check it. So that's what I do. That's why you see in a lot of my videos, my laptop is on my table. I need to restart the trivia stream. Well, a lot of people didn't like the trivia. They'd leave the minute we started playing. That's why I started asking questions. And like if I'd pick 5 questions out of some of the videos that I did for the past couple of weeks, if you got all 5 questions right, you won the prize. And I thought about doing that tonight, and I didn't. So I didn't write the questions down. I probably need to pick out some kind of prize, because I've got stuff in there. And maybe do a giveaway tomorrow. Ask some questions on some videos from this past week or something. And do a giveaway. That's the next thing to trivia, because most people, if they watch the videos, they know the answers. A lot of these trivia questions I couldn't answer. Yeah, I don't think they care about keeping up with the Joneses. As long as they got a roof over their head, they're not being rained on, they got heat in the winter. And you know, in those caves, they stay cooler in the summer. A lot cooler than this house would. They got a lot of insulation around them. It was funny because one of the videos that I watched, this lady, she's a single mom. She built a little building out of rock and concrete outside of her cave to where her kids had another place to go to play with windows in it. So they weren't confined in the cave with no windows. Of course, they had a little bit of light coming through where the door was, but not much. And that winter, when she was going to heat it for them to play in with a little wood stove, she said, you can't heat it. It's so hard to heat. She was used to the insulated cave with all the dirt around the cave that stayed warm with very little heat coming in. She had a little fireplace in the cave that was vented out the top. And she could put a little bit of wood in that fireplace and it heated that cave up and it stayed warm. She couldn't do that with that little rock building she built up there. So they used it most of the time in the summer. Joan says, I watch every day, but my memory ain't that good, so don't ask anything hard. Yep, no Venetian blinds to dust, no curtains to wash. They just got a rug in the floor with blankets and stuff that every once in a while they'll take out to their local stream of water and wash their rugs and their blankets. Throw them over a great big boulder to dry. Well, I say, Joan, this is my tiny house. This is as tiny as I want to go with my claustrophobia. Although me and my first husband did live in a house smaller than this. It had a good-sized living room, kitchen, bathroom, and one bedroom. No tide. Yeah, I've seen them many a time where they pay this driver with this truck or they have a friend that has a car that comes and they roll their rugs up and throw it in the back of the car. They'll take whatever laundry they need to do. Usually they wash their laundry in a great big dish pan or a wash pan. It's pretty big. And then they just throw it over a bush to dry. Or if they can afford it, they buy a rope to tie from one place to the other to make them a makeshift clothesline like I did. But it was interesting how they took those rugs out there, laid them on the rocks next to the water, and they got the rugs wet. They poured detergent on them, and then they washed them with their feet, and then they just literally slipped the whole rug down in the water. And of course the water was running down the stream, and it would rinse the rug out. They'd get the rug out and then throw it back up on the rocks where it would dry. I'm wondering how long it took that rug to dry, because, they stopped the video, and then when it started up again, they were loading the rugs up to take them home and putting them back in the house that were already dry. So they must have spent all day out there at the water at that little creek, because I know it took a long time for that rug to dry. And this other family that built a house, and they always put flat roofs on. I don't know why. If they put a little bit of a tilt on the roof, the water would be more apt to run off the roof instead of puddle on top and cause your roof to leak. But they always have flat roofs. I don't know why they do that. But they would literally take their rug. They quit going to the little stream to wash it. They took it and put it on top of the house on the roof, laid it out, took the water hose, sprayed it off, put soap on it, washed it, rinsed it off, and left it up there to dry. Put a blue tent also on your roof. Well, I've taken some of my throw rugs, because, some of them I've got, they're the stiff kind and you can't put them in the washing machine. And I throw them across the gas tank out there, a 500-gallon gas tank. I throw the little rug across it and hose it down and put soap on it and wash it, or lay them here on the back patio on the rock, the concrete, and wash them off there and then hang them over something to dry. Because, you can't put the stiff ones in a washing machine. I got 61 people on here, and we've been on here for almost 3 hours. Are we having fun or not? I guess because I'm by myself all the time, and when I get into the chat, I can actually talk to people, and y'all are asking me stuff or telling me stuff, and I can respond to it. And it's the next thing to having somebody here talking to me, and I just don't know when to stop. I enjoy it. I really do. They should roll up the children instead of the baths. Yeah, and they get free water. They find a spring up on the mountainside up higher than their little cave is. They tap into that natural spring and with a water hose, and that's literally run water down to their cave with the water hose. And that's their running water, y'all. Yeah, it never stops. They don't completely block it off. I mean, I don't think they're supposed to do that, but they can use water as long as they don't block the flow. They can tap into it. But one lady, she was building out her cave bigger, and she hit a water spring inside the cave. Now she's got a big bathtub looking thing inside her cave, and she built the thing up to where the water goes into the tub, and then it comes out the bottom through a spout that she can turn off or on into a water hose that runs out of the cave into her garden so she can water her garden with the water. And then she's got one outside the same way. She tapped into a spring on the outside. So she's got two ceramic and concrete tubs built. I mean, she doesn't get in them to take a bath or anything. She's using them as just water storage, because they use that for their baths. They use it for cooking and stuff like that. Now they use, I think, other water for drinking. Or I don't know, they may use that very same water for drinking, because it's pure spring water. It's probably real clean water. I think it's in Pakistan, Iran, or somewhere over there. I never fully understood exactly where. Yeah, I got to go too. I'm getting hungry. It's past my dinner time. Oh my God, it's almost 8 o'clock. Maybe I should schedule a video for one time, and then all of a sudden go accidentally live an hour early and see if it'll work out like this one. I have a lot of people coming into this. I got 66 in here right now. Calling me away. Good night, Sandra. Calgon's calling you away. Chill. Well, we've been on here long enough. I appreciate each and every one of you for coming in. I'd stay on longer, but my stomach's growling. I've got to get food. Let us know. I'm always late. Yes, good idea. Schedule it for 7 and go live at 5. That's about what I did this time, I think. And I didn't intend to do it. But anyway, thank you so much for coming in and chatting with me. I've enjoyed the heck out of it. I always enjoy these live chats. I really do, because I love chit-chatting with you, corresponding with you, answering questions, asking questions, and getting answers. Yeah, I remember that commercial on Calgon Chill. A weekly live. Well, I've had more than one live a week here lately. I've been having 2 or 3. And I may go live again tomorrow. I haven't decided yet. But anyway, thank you so much for coming in here, spending time with me, putting up with my shenanigans. I've enjoyed it. Love each and every one of you. Y'all sleep tight tonight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. Stay cool tomorrow. Stay hydrated. And I'll see you on the next one. Love y'all. Bye now.